Here on Flow FM across regional South Australia, we've got some good news to share with our grain producers as the harvest is in full swing, certainly on the western part of the state. We're here with Grain Producers CEO Brad Perry. What's the good news?
Oh, good day, Ricky. And we've been discussing this on your program before, but Grain Producers SA had concerns about the rollout of the cease harvest number under the new fire behaviour index. It's a little bit complicated for those who aren't grain producers, but grain producers will be fully across what this means. But Grain Producers SA was calling on essentially a pause, or to be able to use the GFDI, so the old model, the Grass Fire Danger Index, this harvest, because that's what grain producers are used to, and we just didn't see there was enough time to roll out a new model so close to harvest. And so we've written to the CFS Chief Officer and the Minister for Emergency Services, Adrian McCabe, and I, the Chair of GPSA, had a meeting with them both, and we've reached a sensible agreement, really common sense agreement. The growers will be able to use the cease harvest number of 35 under the Grass Fire Danger Index this harvest.
And I gather in a practical sense, I mean, already farmers have got very challenging conditions with moisture and the like. This isn't going to put prevention of fires on farm in any disadvantage. This is just about actually using something practical with extra monitoring and support to make sure that we get through this harvest and bring the standard in for the next one.
Yeah, that's right. No, not at all. So the Fire Behaviour Index new cease harvest number of 40 uses a different calculation. So I think we just need time to make sure that grain producers can get their heads around that. And so what we've come to an agreement with CFS and the Minister is that you can use the GFDI of 35 as a grain producer this year for this harvest, and also the FBI. So if you want to use that and experiment with that, you can this year. I think the general message out to grain producers is you need to use one of those and do the right thing this harvest, or you'll still get penalised if you're blatantly doing the wrong thing.
And I guess what does it mean in practical terms for farmers? Is there any sort of technology or things they need to buy to comply with that new standard, or is it just to do with newer machinery?
So there's a new calculation method that's being used under the Fire Behaviour Index, and the CFS have released an app called Aurora, which helps you calculate that. There hasn't been enough time prior to harvest for growers to get their head around that. So a really sensible outcome for growers to be able to use the GFDI of 35 to cease harvest this time around. I think the GFDI is well used and known across grain producer country. So we think that's the best way to continue to be safe and practical during this season from fire. And we'll look at rolling out an education program around the new FBI of 40, after this harvest for the next harvest.
Yeah, certainly. It's looking like, just talking about the harvest briefly, it looks like it's going to be a pretty long one for some, in the sense that it'll be over for some in the west and some might only be just getting started in the east.
Yeah, it is going to be a really staggered harvest, I think, right across Australia. But for grain producers in South Australia, we've had some that have started and they're underway when those couple of really warm, dry days were here. But that's been interrupted a little bit now with some rain this week and a little bit more forecast for the weekend. So it is going to be a bit stop-start by the looks of it. But hopefully we can get in there as soon as we can and get 3 or 4 days of dry weather to try and just get the crops off and hopefully they're still good quality crops that we can get to silo.
Yeah, good point, Brad, and a good advocacy from Grain Producers SA to get that result. I know you did say not that long ago you'd reached out to the Minister saying the harvest was going to be tricky, too quick to be doing this new rating system, and now you've got the result that you were looking for, so good work there, Brad.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky. And look, we thank the Minister for listening to our concerns and acting on that and working with the CFS and the CFS Chief Officer. So, look, this is a common sense win for grain producers. So grain producers already know this system. It's the safest thing to do in this harvest with so much fuel load built up, and it will give us time now to properly roll out the education program around the new system following the harvest.